I do not belong to the John Birch Society, but I have always defended this group, just as I do not belong to but have defended the American Farm Bureau, the DAR, the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and any other patriotic group trying to alert Americans to the socialist communist threat. I have also defended J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. When my son Reed was invited to be a state coordinator for the John Birch Society, he asked me if he should accept it. I had read the Blue Book and other basic materials of the Society. I had met Mr. Welch and other leaders and members. I had read Mr. Welch's famous letter, which has since been published in book form entitled The Politician. I knew Reed would be enrolling in an unpopular cause. I also knew he would receive a certain amount of vilification if he took this job. Nevertheless, I told him to go ahead if he thought this was a most effective way to defend the Constitution and fight the socialist communist menace. I would have given him equal encouragement if he had been considering the FBI or any of our national patriotic organizations dedicated to the fight against the godless conspiracy which threatens all we hold dear. When he joined, I expressed my opinion that I was convinced that the John Birch Society was the most effective non-church organization in our fight against creeping socialism and godless communism. I also stated that I admired Reed's courage and applauded his decision. Now, some people, I'm sure well-meaning, have told me this was not good strategy, but I disagree. I feel it is always good strategy to stand up for the right. To stand up for the right, even when it is unpopular. Perhaps I should say especially when it is unpopular. I had to make this same decision all over again when President David O. McKay received an invitation from former Congressman John Rousseau asking that I be authorized to give a patriotic speech at a testimonial dinner for Robert Welch. President McKay, after careful consideration, told me I should take the talk and that I had his permission and blessing. And so the invitation was accepted. This talk was given at the Hollywood Palladium, September 23rd, 1963. Nearly 2,000 heard my talk that night, and 4,000 Kiwanians heard a similar message the following day when I spoke at their annual convention. Both talks dealt with the preservation of the Constitution and the need to resist the communist threat. At the Welch testimonial dinner, I commended the John Birch Society and encouraged them to protect the principles of liberty throughout the land. Of course, as all of you know, this talk brought an immediate outcry from some liberal elements in Washington. These voices said that I, as a church official, had no business speaking at the Robert Welch dinner. They said it was making me controversial. Patrick Henry and the Founding Fathers were also controversial. True patriots have ever been. Perhaps they did not realize that I had filled this assignment with the full approval of President McKay. And perhaps they did not realize that President David O. McKay has not hesitated to speak out for freedom, even if some people have considered such patriotism as controversial. And neither will I hesitate. The fight to save the Constitution is not mere controversy, nor the fight against communism. In fact, it is a war with the devil, Christ versus Antichrist. It is a war with the devil, Christ versus Antichrist. and I am willing to fight it. It is a fight against the greatest evil in this world, a ruthless, powerful, godless conspiracy. J. Edgar Hoover has warned that the Cold War is a real war and that the threat is increasing. I agree, and unfortunately we're losing the war. I think it is time for every patriotic American to join with neighbors to study the Constitution and the conspiracy. Subscribe to several good patriotic magazines, such as American Opinion. Buy a few basic books, such as Masters of Deceit, A Study of Communism by J. Edgar Hoover, The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen, recommended by President David O. McKay in the General Conference of the Church, October 1959. Read You Can Trust the Communist by Fred Swartz, and so on. And then prepare to do some independent thinking. And remember that the organized who have a plan and are dedicated, though they be few, will always defeat the many who are not organized and who lack plans and dedication. The communists know this and have proven it. Isn't it about time that most Americans realized it too? In conclusion, may I say that one of our most serious problems is the inferiority complex which people feel when they are not informed and organized. They dare not make a decision on these vital issues. They let other people think for them. They stumble around in the middle of the road, trying to avoid being controversial, and get hit by traffic going both ways. To the Patriots, I say this: take the long, eternal look. Stand up for freedom, no matter what the cost. It can help to save your soul and maybe your country. This is a choice land, choice above all others. Blessed by the Almighty, our forefathers have made and kept it so. It will continue to be a land of freedom and liberty as long as we are able to advance in the light of sound and enduring principles of right. To sacrifice such principles for momentary expediency, often selfishly motivated, is to endanger our noble heritage and is unworthy of this great American people. With all my heart, I love this great nation. I have lived and traveled abroad just enough to make me appreciate rather fully what we have here. To me, this is not just another nation. It is not just one of the family of nations. This is a nation with a great mission to perform for the benefit of liberty-loving people everywhere. It is my firm conviction that the Constitution of this land was established by men whom the God of heaven raised up unto that very purpose. This is part of my religious faith. The days ahead are sobering and challenging, and will demand the faith, prayers, and loyalty of every American. As the ancient apostle declared, the night is forspent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. May God give us the wisdom to recognize the dangers of complacency, the threat to our freedom, and the strength to meet this danger courageously. Our challenge is to keep America strong and free, strong socially, strong economically, and above all, strong spiritually, if our way of life is to endure. There is no other way. Only in this course is there safety for our nation. In this mighty struggle, each of you has a part. Every person on the earth today chose the right side during the war in heaven. Be on the right side now. Stand up and be counted. If you get discouraged, remember the words of Edward Everett Hale when he said, "I am only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. What I can do, that I ought to do. And what I ought to do, by the grace of God, I shall do." And this is my prayer for you this day. May God bless all of you, each and every one. Thank you very much.
This has been a presentation of the Utah Forum for the American Idea, recorded through the facilities of the KSL Department of Special Affairs.